am finally filming my budget travel tips and just kind of some travel tips in general. Today I've been saying I was going to do this forever and I just haven't done it yet. I finally made a pretty comprehensive list when I was on a plane the other day. So hopefully I can cover a lot of things, and if you have any other questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Another good way to reach me is on Instagram. I respond to like all my comments on there. Commenting is honestly easier than DMing me sometimes. And I'm posting on there like every day, so I'll have that link down below as well. To give you some background information if you don't know, or if you just haven't been keeping up with me lately, or you just randomly clicked on this video, I'm Kaylee, by the way. But my boyfriend Avery and I have just kind of been popping around to different places for the past couple months, and we're gonna keep doing it for about the next 2 months. And I always get asked questions like, how do you afford to do that? What are your best tips if that's a lifestyle that I want to pursue for a little bit? And just overall, I get a lot of questions about traveling, and I always love hearing other people's tips for how they find good deals on flights, good deals on accommodation. I just think that traveling and seeing different areas of the world is really important. I didn't really do that when I was younger, and I honestly didn't really start doing it until I was like 19, I think. Yeah, I'm 21 now. I had never really been out of the country, and I just want to let you know that it is totally attainable, and traveling, if you live in the US at least, traveling out of the US is a lot cheaper than traveling in the US often. Definitely a huge thing in general. Not just always finding things for cheap, but finding things that are still valuable to you. I think a large problem where a lot of people think traveling is really expensive, it's because they want to go to the Londons and Parises and New Yorks, which are pretty expensive cities, and they also want to hit like all of these tourist attractions and go on these crazy like shopping trips while you're there, and you just don't have to do that if that's not something that you're truly interested in doing. Like, don't go do something just because everyone else does it in that city if you don't really care about it. That's a huge way to save money. I'm going to talk about flights first. I feel like Avery and I are usually pretty good at finding cheap flights, except sometimes we talk about where we want to go for too long and then prices go up. But a big tip is to always search for flights and accommodation as well, rental cars, everything in an incognito window on your computer so they aren't tracking you. Because often when they're tracking you, the prices will fluctuate and go up because they know you want that flight, but you just haven't booked it yet. And where I pretty much always go when booking flights is on Skyscanner. You can view flight prices on a monthly view super easily. You can search flights to everywhere. You can literally type everywhere into the search. It will pull up flight prices to a ton of different destinations. So say you just want to take a weekend trip, you can figure out where the cheapest places to fly to and see if that's something that interests you. And they also compare prices through a variety of different platforms, so you know that you're usually getting the best price when you book through Skyscanner, and that's not sponsored at all. That's just something that we regularly use. Something that I'm sure you hear people talk about a lot. I'm not the best at this, but signing up for airline rewards. I have rewards programs with most airlines, but I'm pretty bad at sticking to one airline just because the prices can be so different, and I usually end up going with the cheapest option. But if you do sign up for airline rewards, you can get a lot of different benefits. The ones in Europe that Avery and I have been using the most, we just recently signed up for the Wizz Air Club, which Wizz Air is like an Eastern European airline. We paid like 30 euros for a year of the Wizz Air discount club, get 10 to 20 euro discount on each flight per person that we book with them. And we just recently booked like 3 flights in a row with them, so it's already totally paid off. Most of our flights are usually like under $100, sometimes even like $20. Just when you're flying with the budget airlines, you need to make sure that you're reading all of the guidelines and regulations that come with flying with a budget airline. Like for example, a lot of them you have to check in online or they're gonna charge you a ginormous fee at the airport. It's usually a lot cheaper to book your baggage when you are booking your flight, or it can go up in price a lot. So that's pretty obvious, but definitely something that should be said. And another thing to keep in mind when you're booking with budget airlines, Sometimes they only fly into, or their main port in major cities is in an airport that's further outside of the city. It's like that in London, it's like that in Paris, in Brussels, and your transportation into the city from the budget airline airport might cancel out the prices for different airlines, so that's also something to keep in mind. And of course, only pack what you need, because luggage prices can really add up, especially if you're looking to take a long trip when you're going on multiple flights. But with this trip, Avery and I have 2 suitcases split between the 2 of us. One is carry-on size, one is checked luggage size, and that's pretty much everything we own. I don't think we could really travel with less. I mean, we could, but for us right now, it is worth it to pay for checking a bag each time. And we can shove things like Avery's skateboard in our checked luggage and just make sure we have everything that we want in our life and all of our full-size toiletries, so we're not always stocking up on travel-size toiletries. That's pretty much it for flights. I also want to talk about buses and trains. I feel like people are always trying to give advice that Avery and I should be taking trains instead of flights because it's so much cheaper, but trains are almost always the most expensive option. You definitely need to compare prices, of course, but trains tend to be the most expensive, probably the most luxurious and easygoing, but we don't really travel by train that much. We've traveled by bus once. We were going from Antwerp, Belgium to Paris, and it was like a 7-hour journey. It said it was going to be 5 hours. The experience was still pretty nice. It was via Flixbus. I think Flixbus is a huge operator in Europe, maybe even in the US as well. We had Wi-Fi on board. The driver was super nice. Avery and I had to run after the bus to catch her just because we're idiots. But I think we both got to Paris for about 20 euros, and baggage was free and included in that price. And I think the train for both of us to Paris from Antwerp was like 200 something euros, so it was definitely more worth it for us to book the bus because we had a bit of extra time. But with trains also, you often don't have to worry about luggage prices, so that's something to keep in mind. And definitely book in advance when you can. For pretty much everything, that's most of the time cheaper. Now I'm going to talk about accommodation. My rule is to pretty much never stay in hotels. I don't know why. I don't even have the desire to stay in a hotel. Staying in an apartment is usually so much cheaper, a much better experience, and a much more like genuine experience of whatever place that you're visiting. Right now we are in Warsaw. We're staying in the most beautiful residential area, and I feel like we actually get to experience what life is like here so much more than if we were just staying in like a big hotel downtown. Yes, Avery just yelled "and cooking," which is a huge thing for saving money when you're traveling. If you're eating out every meal, that can just totally take away all of your money so quickly. And sometimes I get questions like, why don't you and Avery stay in hostels when you travel? I'm not against staying in hostels. I'm absolutely not against it. But a big part for us is that we need to be able to film, and we work a lot. At least on this trip, we've been working a lot. It hasn't necessarily been a vacation. Like I said, we want to treat different places as if we're actually living there. We stay in each place for at least a week and spend a lot of time working on the computer. So having a good workspace is important for us, and also being able to cook is very important to us. I know some hostels have kitchens, but not all of them. We mainly use Airbnb to find apartments, but you could also totally check Facebook groups for wherever you're going. Or subletting websites. You can even do like apartment swaps with people. I don't have any experience doing that. We pretty much always use Airbnb. And we also have some Airbnb credit. If you guys are interested, you can get $40 off your first trip, which can go quite a long way. Like for example, the apartment that we're staying in Warsaw right now, it's a 1-bedroom apartment, full kitchen, full bathroom, washing machine, living room, and it is $20-something a night. So there's a free night in your stay, depending on where you're going, of course. But I'll have that link down below if you're interested. Another big thing is just traveling with friends or a partner of some sort, because that splits your cost in half or in even smaller increments. And I think on Airbnb as well, you can easily split payments with your friends, so you don't have to worry about like hounding them to get your money back via Venmo or PayPal or whatever. And another good thing about Airbnb and maybe other apartment rentals is that there's the option to stay in like private or shared rooms, of course depending on your comfort and if you're into doing that, but it's a cool way to meet the locals. Avery and I have stayed in a private room in Berlin. It was a great experience, a lot cheaper than having the entire apartment to ourselves. And then when we're going to London soon, we're staying in a private room. So you still have access to the kitchen and everything, but you're obviously just not the only people in the apartment. Sometimes the places that are private rooms or shared rooms are a bit weird about having more than one person stay with them, so that's something to watch out for. But other than that, it's usually pretty fun. This is turning into an Airbnb tips video, but Airbnb also gives discounts for longer stays. So say you were only planning to stay somewhere for 5 or 6 days, you should really look into staying for a week if it's possible for you, because you can get 10% discounts, sometimes 20% discounts just for staying for the extra day, and you can get that extra day free, so it's totally worth it. Monthly stays, they even give discounts, but I feel like when you're booking on Airbnb, it is still like a for-profit website for most of the hosts, and also Airbnb takes some service fees. So if you're looking to stay for that long, I think you should definitely check into different sublet websites in whatever city you're going. And one last Airbnb tip: if you are booking a place that has no reviews or little reviews, obviously be wary, but there are often discounts on those, like an extra 20% discount for the first couple of guests, just so the host can get some reviews going on their profile so more people are likely to book. In general, you need to learn to take public transportation wherever you go, so that you're not Ubering and taxiing everywhere, because that is just a huge money guzzler as well. And it's a good way to get a more genuine experience of the city that you're in, and most cities have great public transportation networks, or you can just walk places. That's what we do a lot. Then I also wrote down kind of what I talked about earlier, is getting the best value for your money. Just try not to impulse spend because you feel like you need to get a souvenir, or if you want to see an attraction, there's usually a way to see the attraction for free. Like, for example, you can go see the Eiffel Tower. If you're in Paris and you want to go see the Eiffel Tower, you don't have to go up to the top of it unless you are dying to go up to the top of it and pay to go up to the top of it. That's just another thing to keep in mind. Don't feel like you need to do all those things unless you really, really want to. And I wrote down just sharing in general, which I spoke about earlier with the whole accommodation thing, but even like sharing your meals when you go out to eat, if you're comfortable doing that. Avery and I do that all the time. And just splitting costs in general really cuts down on the cost of traveling. And if you're looking to make a big purchase, shopping abroad can be cheaper. In Europe, you can get a VAT return form. When you're shopping, usually the purchase has to be over a certain amount of money. I'm not sure what it is. But then when you're at the airport going home, you just turn in the form to someone and they will give you the tax refund, which is always helpful. But I think that's about it. I think most of you know this. I can't remember if I touched on it at the beginning of the video. Just something to be real with you guys about. If you didn't already know, Avery and I do not have a home to go back to right now, so we're not paying rent anywhere else, which is another reason why traveling is attainable. And I know that's also totally not realistic for a lot of people, but if you ever have like a month off for some reason and you can get out of having an apartment somehow, traveling can be a lot cheaper and just more liberating. But if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. And like I said, I'll have our Airbnb credit linked and all of our social media. And I think I also have a playlist of vlogs from our entire trip so far if you're interested in checking those out. And I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.